Okay, I'm just going to refresh your mod page, and I'm also going to make sure I am hosting you on mine. Right, I've got you on host. Right, let's see what page you
Good evening, hello, welcome to, and there we are. Jones and Steve have had a week. I think it's going to be the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young of titles. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, thank you very much. That's a very swish little layout you have there.
Thank you very much. You looked alarmed when I was talking there for a minute, so I thought
I just saw it, you see.
Oh right,
I'm
I thought.
operating on a slight delay, of course, because I'm watching your stream as it is performed.
Of course you are, yeah. So I thought I'd come say hello. But has the title of this show, because we're going to do this every Friday. So every Friday on Gilly Fam, and thank you for watching it. Every Friday on Gilly Fam, there will be a talk stream, and it will be myself and Steve, or myself, Steve, and our friend Nick. I think. So it could be James, Nick, and Steve have had a week, or just James and Steve have had a week. We don't know. I think we're feeling our way through this, aren't we?
We certainly are, yes.
Live on stream as well, which is exciting.
It's the best way.
Steve, how's your week been?
It's been tough, man. It's been really tough.
Oh no.
It's not in the grand scheme of things, like, everything, but just like work is hard at the moment.
Yeah.
And talking about work is like a really boring thing to talk about. But there is a day job, and there are quite a lot of things that need to be done by the end of this month. I work for a university. I work in research finance, and there are a lot of research applications which have a deadline of the end of the month.
Yeah, so you work on an academic year, don't you, rather than a proper human year?
Like one of them real life human years. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Good. No, that's very nice. To be fair,
So that side. Sorry, I've absolutely railroaded you. Go on.
no, not at all. I was just talking out of top man. I used to work in a place that followed the financial year, which doesn't make any bloody sense either.
They're all a
Very
bit weird, aren't
It's
they?
very confusing. Yeah, so just
But
lots to do and lots of deadlines. Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of cases, all fighting for attention all at the same time. So there's that kind of non whole life affecting work based
Yeah.
anxiety attached to the tasks that have yet to be done.
Yes.
But hey ho. That's kind of the thing that's been dominating my daytime and making me feel like pretty worn out by the end of the day. And at the end of today's working day, I wasn't sure whether I was going to have a nap or a walk. Thankfully, I went for a walk
Walk,
because
right?
it was either I was going to crash out or I needed to do something to get the energy level back.
Yeah.
So it was good. I got outside. Not every day this week can I say that I've done that. So 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 that's the work side. Shall I continue or shall we swap over to you for a little bit?
It's up to you.
The only other thing I was going to mention, and this is something that I brought up with you earlier on in the week, is that I have decided to come off my sadness medicines.
Yes.
I use plural. I'm only on one. I'm not on a particularly heavy dose either. There we
You
go.
say that, but I'm not convinced. He's slurring his words.
um, yeah, I've been on sertraline since the end of 2017. So it's been a little while, but I
Oh
feel like
wow!
it's time. It's
I've
time to come off it.
I've got to do some thank yous because
Yeah, take care of some business.
we've had a ton of follows
Oh, fantastic.
following. So I'm going to say I the Vision. Oh, I'm sorry, Vision
Leave this to you.
V Powder BD Klaus Mudder. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with these names because I am an idiot. Thank you for the follow, Marina Lismapul,
He's doing so well.
Marginalise Pool,
Yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah.
and Zenny. Thank you, all of you, very much. I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry, and I've realised I'm going to quickly add this. I haven't got the alert on to say thank you very much. So I'm going to quickly add that to what we're doing. You don't have to see what I'm doing there. I'll just put it there. There we go. Now that scene's complete. I can't use being an idiot as an excuse for everything. I'm very sorry.
Good evening, Nick. He's in the chat there. That's nice to see him.
Look at that. So Steve, not only is Steve talking to you live by the miracle of Twitch, but also he's moderating as well. Thank you for your moderation, Catch. I wouldn't have been able to pronounce that individual's name either, unfortunately, because
Okay,
of my. I'm not an idiot, to be fair. It's not idiocy. It's this ingrained British thing. You know, is like that anything that isn't familiar is immediately terrifying. So, being on Twitch, you know, and having to say thank you to people and their names aren't necessarily familiar to you brings out this sort of blind panic in me. And the harder I try to pronounce something, the worse things got. Oh dear. Good. Well, like I said, Nicola. Oh, geez, Louise. I'm calling Nicola. You let us know when you're jumping in and you jump in. Was that so? Yes, you're coming off your tablets.
Yes, yes. It's something that I've been thinking about for several months now. Really, probably the first time I actually thought about it was the early stage of last year, before big life changes happened. And I thought maybe this isn't the right time. So I kind of let that ride itself out a little bit, and after that, whole thing settled down. I started thinking about it since about February, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then pandemic came along, and there's stuff about GP surgeries, stuff like that. Do I wait until I can see someone face to face? Do I request a telephone thing? What do I do? And then I just kept forgetting about doing it, not even putting it off, just forgetting about doing it. But thankfully, the GP surgery I've got is like pretty hot on all the online stuff. So I went for an online consultation a little bit earlier on this week to talk about it. So hopefully, if all goes well, in 3 weeks' time, I will be off them completely. We will see.
Wow, how long?
But it does feel like time. 3 weeks.
I'll come back now. That's amazing. And you know, I had to do some on the fly resizing there, Steve. I do apologise.
That's all right. No worries.
You've gone on to the James has decided not to be on screen for a couple of seconds
You're off to the
view,
bookies.
and yeah,
I don't know what you'd be betting on.
off to the bookies, as I call it, when I'm on my F1 stream. So it's not true. Unfortunately, I'm a smoker, and I don't want to smoke on stream. So I
Very responsible.
little golden cigarette is all I'm doing. I'm afraid it's an awful habit. I need to give it up. I keep trying to vape and do that instead, but I've failed. But we have got a plan. We've got an exit plan for the next month or so, maybe September. So we'll see. But we're planning it. But hopefully things in my life will be a bit different and maybe sort of make me motivated a bit more to take that step and actually give it up again. It's the problem. It's bad enough giving it up the first time, but when you've given it up a few times, the pain that you go through while you're giving it up. It really puts you off. It's terrible. That's a really brave decision you've made, Steve. There, by the way, one that I'm very impressed by. One that I hope I get to emulate sooner rather than later. To be honest with you, I'm on a cocktail of antidepressants and mood stabilizers and so forth. So, yeah, the thought of getting my brain fully back to myself is exciting. Is it something that you're kind of looking forward to having them out of your system, or are there aspects of because they tend to come with some pretty grody side effects, and people are pretty lucky if they go without getting any of them. So, without wanting to go into what any of them are you looking forward to getting that out of your system and back to normal, as it were, in inverted commas?
When I first started taking them, I was anticipating probably a couple of weeks of strangeness. I think what I probably got was maybe a week, maybe slightly less than a week, of feeling ever so slightly disconnected and floaty, but not particularly heavily so either.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then from that point, life felt like life usually does. My mood was certainly lighter. My lows weren't anywhere near as low as they had been before. I wouldn't put that solely down to just being on that medication, but it was like the way my counsellor described it when she recommended that I should speak to my GP about asking to be put on antidepressants is that it would just lift me up a little bit higher so I could see further down the road ahead. And that was a really interesting and useful way of putting it to me. I can't say I've really noticed any kind of other side effects or issues since. I am not expecting, therefore, but I could be proved wrong. I'm not expecting too much of a horror show on coming off them. Could be famous last words. I have had several occasions over the last 6 to 8 weeks where I've skipped a day just because I forgot to take my day. And, okay, that's only one day, but that's not done anything in itself. Now I'm kind of reducing the dose over 3 weeks. So maybe I'll be okay. But really, I don't know. Like, coming off something like this is a new experience for me, in the same way that going on them in the first place was. Because before then, I thought I was smart enough to think my way through a problem, and I proved to be wrong.
I'm being
Are you being harassed? Is there a cat?
I don't know. Can you? Only if you turn on the. So I'm having a chat with my wife at the moment.
No, this is good.
Nicola's handed me I've been handed a piece of correspondence here, and my wife says, "Can I hear
Jim?
Dear Jim, can you fix it for me?" No, she says, "Can I hear Steve too?" Now, to which I wanted to answer, and I think I did. Well, I don't bloody know. Can you? But Nicola wanted to make it so she could hear you as well, and I said, well, the only way for her to do that is to take her computer into another room, really, and turn the sound on. Unfortunately, but I hope Steve is loud enough. I can turn him up if he's
I hope
too
so.
quiet on the
You should,
stream. Nick,
you should be able to boost my volume in Discord.
thank you very much for the. Thank you for sending me the notes. I have no way at the moment of reading them. My telephone is my webcam, and if I start reading anything you've sent me in Twitch, I'm going to capture it, I fear, on my screen. So you're more than welcome to, whatever I do, your notes will be entirely public. So you're more than welcome to drop anything you want to say into here for the moment, because it's the only possible way I've got to talk to you, buddy. I'm really sorry. Yeah, well done. I've been through transferring pills. Steve is
Hmm.
quite quiet. Notifications at the top left are very small, and I don't know if your icons are meant to be visible. Yes, my icons are meant to be visible. The bar at the top is meant to be small and unintrusive. I don't want it to be too big that it takes over the screen. And yeah, this is just screen capture that we're going to use if we want to talk about something that's internety. I might even put up a game of GeoGuessr later for me and Steve, or for you when you come along if you want. Well, no, it won't be wrong on the screen if you come along to do GeoGuessr. But yeah, Steve and I may play some GeoGuessr for giggles later on.
Yes, sounds good.
But thank you for the notes. I appreciate it. I mean, I will have a look at these blocks. I mean, if you want it bigger, so you can see. There we go.
Feedback's important, though, isn't
There you
it? I mean,
go.
not even from our pals, but from anyone who might be watching. If there's something that's not quite right, you've got to
Yeah,
let us know. It's the only
yeah.
way we can make things better.
I've made it a bit bigger. How's that for you, buddy? Better. Good. I am pleased. Right, make that go away. No, that. Right, okay. I got myself all flustered, Steve,
That's all right.
but I'm all right now.
Fluster away, sir.
I don't know. It's difficult. I don't know how big to make those blocks. I want to make it small, and I want to make it small, but it's got to be big enough, like so it shows that you're appreciating that you get new follows and new cheers and whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, that's brave of you. Like I said, I've been through. My situation was different. I've been through changing medications before, rather than just sort of coming off them as such.
That's just
So,
as disruptive, if not more so, though,
where it
isn't it?
was yeah, I had a very lumpy few weeks to be honest with you, but I was going from big dose to to bigger dose or something else. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, but not at all. Anyway, yeah, that. Cheers for that. That is brave of you. I do admire you for doing that. It's a big step to make, and it's very nice to know that you are up to it. Nick's got a question for you, buddy.
Yeah, I can see that. So Nick Sykes in the chat, he's asked me if I'm therapying at the moment. No, I'm not. I'm not therapying. I am basically resting on both the memory of the therapy I had, which was about the same time I went on to the medication 2.5 years ago. Yes. Just had to strain there to remember how time works, apparently. Yeah, I'm resting on the memory of that, and applying those lessons and that mode of thinking through any other issues that come my way. Plus, there have been things I've read, right? So, I'm not going to say I necessarily went full on down self-help book territory, but Mark Manson's The Secret Art of Not Giving a FUCK is an incredibly useful book. That really spoke to me. Matt Haig's books were also quite useful, and I'm part way through Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And all of these are really good about just reminding us about how our brains work and how sometimes they're not necessarily telling us the truth. They're telling us a rather distorted version of it. So I'm kind of resting on that quite a lot. When I think about something that might be troubling me, and they can, and that sometimes that can be work, but sometimes that can be, historical things that have the still have the skill to stealthily creep up on me.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. How disarming was it to see your name wobble down from underneath your slightly larger video capture there while you're telling us some like intimate truths? Was that beautifully off-putting?
No, I think I managed to work through it just fine.
Okay, well, hopefully there'll be no more bumbling on my behalf, trying to get things looking right on the fly again.
Isn't this why people tune in for the bumbling,
I hope so. Yeah,
the bumbles and the bimbles?
tune in for the bumbling, and they stay for my incompetence. That's good. No, very brave. Thank you for sharing that, Steve. I've had some good stuff happen today. I'm going to
That's great.
transition on to me.
Do it.
For one, I got out of the house, and that's something that isn't happening very often at the moment. Finding social anxiety really difficult at the moment. I'm not comfortable with what the rules are, and I know part of that is because no one's comfortable with what the rules are. The government isn't really very clear in terms of what you should and shouldn't do. I think they're reticent to tell people to do things that are good for them because they're ideologically uncomfortable with them. So, like wearing face masks all the time when you're out is a really good idea because it
It
reduces the rate
is.
of infection. Because if you are infected, it stops you from infecting other people. You wearing a mask is a courtesy to others. You know, it's not to stop you breathing it in from them per se. It's to stop you spreading it if you've got it, and
Yeah.
that's where the main benefit comes from wearing masks. So that's why it's particularly insidious when you hear about these people that are coughing and spitting on purpose on mask wearers, when actually what the mask wearer is doing is trying to protect the spitter,
Yeah.
which is very unpleasant. And one of my main fears about going out with a mask at the moment is how I react to people when they say things to me. I don't react well to people being unkind to me. Um, I, especially when it comes out of nowhere, I have a panic instinct that kind of takes over,
Yeah.
and I go into full on battle mode. To be honest with you, and the very loud cursing and shouting and spitting and stamping of feet happens very, very quickly, and I start shouting the C word very loudly and stuff like that, and it's really very embarrassing, and I don't like it to happen, and I go out of my way to stop that sort of thing from happening. But the masks make it very difficult with the way that some people are so volubly against them, and I don't understand for the life of me why you would be like that during a pandemic. Why would you
I've got a
not?
question.
Yes,
Let's think about the timing of this.
yes.
That it's taken such a long time to get to the point
Mm.
where the government is advising that people should be wearing face coverings in a multitude of environments. You
Sure.
know, we were told to stay at home
Mm-hmm.
at the end of March,
Yeah.
almost at the end of July now,
Yeah.
and it's now being made advisable
Yeah.
for people to wear them in plenty of
Mm.
indoor environments. That's given it
Mm.
more than enough time for people to kind of live a life where
Mm.
they're not a heavy factor, and where there's also been the time for people to talk about this whole thing's a conspiracy. You don't really need masks, all of this kind of stuff. There was something I saw, I think this was yesterday on Twitter. The talk radio presenter Daryl Morris, who's one
Mm-hmm.
of the good eggs, had said that he was standing in a supermarket queue wearing a face covering, and
Yeah.
the person behind him was basically barring at him behind
Yeah.
his back, making
Bleating.
out like
Yeah.
he was a sheep for
Mm.
wearing a mask. And that is people's perspective on this.
Mm.
It's not that someone is being more cautious or more caring. It's that
Mm.
they're being an idiot
Mm-hmm.
for swallowing what is quite useful and helpful public health
Yeah.
advice. And I can only think some of this just comes all the way back to people thinking, I haven't had it,
Mm.
the people I know in my immediate circles haven't had it,
Yeah.
therefore this whole thing's been made up.
Yeah.
That was, I think I was trying to ask a question in there, but I ended up going off and answering part of it anyway. But I'll throw that back to you. Like the amount of time that we've wasted
Mm.
to get to the point of saying, maybe we should all wear masks. That it's given enough time for the conspiracy theorists and the refuse nicks and all that stuff to kind of get very comfortable with doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's the problem. The problem is the gap between published and available good scientific evidence, which I trust. Good
Sure.
published scientific evidence, if it's published in the Lancet, by and large, I think that is probably all the scientist or whatever. By and large, I consider that to be truth,
Yeah.
and where there's a gap between what the government is suggesting people do and what the good advice is in terms of wearing masks, I find perplexing. I find how ingrained this idea that somehow COVID is some kind of. I mean, I don't know how widespread the actual 5G thing is, but there's enough out there to make some people question it, I guess. I don't know. But, right, and this is why I'm not a very good person to ask. Because the way my mental health works, right, I want to do the right thing. I want to wear a mask, okay?
Sure.
But my mental health catastrophizes things. So when I think through scenarios that are just very innocent going out and I'm putting a mask on, in every scenario I go through in my head, I'm being shouted at or bleated at or whatever. So in my mind, that's going to happen because that's the scenario that my brain has built that I find very hard to get away from. So I'm not a very good person to ask about what the reality of all this is because I catastrophize. And I assume that, like every bastard out there, is queuing on conspiracy theorists and complete barn pots, who just refuse to believe things that are empirically true because they're so important they must have some secret knowledge that no one else has, that they're so arrogant that they think that years and years and years of training somehow can be, excuse the pun, trumped by a little bit of digging on the internet, that's kind of that boils my blood. But I just assume they're all out there, and it's a paranoid. Maybe it's a paranoid view of the world, but it's kind of like it's my truth,
Yeah.
That's where my brain goes. So it's not necessarily my truth is not the empirical truth. I know that much.
That's good to know.
Sorry, Nick's
So
chimed in. Do you want to?
yeah, I'll read through this. So first of all, he's nodding like mad at what I'm saying. Good, thank you. He says people have absolutely been conditioned out of thinking this is serious. We would have been dealing with a bit of fatigue at this point anyway, and I think that's something worth covering. But our government has actively encouraged it in their behaviour. Almost all of Nick's anxiety about the current situation comes not from fear of the virus, but how intensely lockdown has brought those alternate realities we're used to dealing with online right into our day-to-day outdoor reality.
Good points.
Life got a bit weird this year, didn't it?
Oh yeah, just a bit. Yeah. It's been a strange year. It's been hard. I was already staying indoors all the time because I left my job about a year and a half ago to get better, and I think I might be getting there. But so life has got weird, but it didn't get as weird for me as it got for everyone else. For me, all that happened was all of a sudden my wife and my daughter were home all the time. My life got better, not worse, because all of a sudden I had company all the time. It was like an absolute luxury. I was like with the people I loved the most in a house with them. It was absolutely fantastic. And now life's going back to normal. My anxieties return. So my mental health has actually been at its best for a long time during lockdown because I got to be around the people that I want to be around. It's great. I mean, I don't see that much of my daughter because obviously she's playing her PlayStation because that's what 10-year-olds do now, apparently. But it's what they did when I was a 10-year-old. I stayed in all the time playing video games as well. So I'm on Twitch.
Same experience.
Yeah, it's how I ended up here. but yeah, I think my experience is unusual, but not unique. I know when I talked to the guy who was my care worker that I had assigned to me from the mental health services, it sounded like quite a lot of his clients were feeling the same sort of feelings that I've been feeling about validation and sort of comfort with people being alone. Not easy for people who are alone already, but how it's just. I think I said last week how I read that you know I was I get slightly bitter about the way people. And it's a good thing. People are really openly talking about mental health during this period because it's been difficult for everybody, and that's lovely. And it's nice to think that we live in a world where people can talk about that stuff openly and freely. But there's also the bit in my mind where people are writing letters to newspapers saying, "Oh, I feel such anxiety doing this now," and it is a little bit of like, "You're welcome to my world now." But experience breeds empathy, and if you can experience
Let's hope
something,
so.
then if you're the I'm going to say if you're a good person, you build empathy with it
Yeah.
as well. So, excuse me, Steve. Oh, you
I'm keeping you up.
caught me. The thing is, right, I am tired all the time until about 11 o'clock at night. At which time my body goes, "Come on, then, right, okay, what are we doing today?" It's like it really wakes up at around 11, just in time to go to bed. So. Yeah,
Perfect.
which is why I take a medication in the evening that knocks me out. Well, it doesn't knock me out, but it sedates me a little, which is fine. So yeah, I went out and I wasn't really sure. Another little stifle John there. I wasn't really sure about what the rules are. We went to it's a bar actually rather than a coffee shop because the coffee shop was closed.
Hmm.
Right, I went in there with it on, but no one had one on when I went in there, so I had to take it off again. And it was all like, "Are we wearing them? Or are we not?" And no one was wearing them outside. So I'm like, "Well, I'm not wearing one outside. Then I'm going to walk home without one on." And it's like all the time thinking, "But I really think I should be wearing one. Really?" Do you know what I mean? It's like absolutely in two minds. But reason I was out, and the
Yes.
reason I was out is I had a meeting with a chap from a organisation that provides one-to-one care for people with varying disabilities and needs. And the reason I was having a chat with him is because there are a number of opportunities that have arisen in his team. And he was
Okay.
basically sounding me out and sort of talking to me about whether I would be interested in joining one of those teams. So I've got a formal interview next week,
Hmm.
but all being well, I think I may have another job in the offing. God blimey, Nick's just posted Star Wars. I,
Anyway,
it's not
that
quite
bit's here.
the
As if I go
it's
further.
not quite the same in this chat as it is in Limmy's chat. He always calls that Star Wars because it crawls up so quickly. He hasn't got an opportunity to read it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I haven't had a formal offer yet, so I don't want to be like dead arrogant. But there are gaps in his team, and we really gelled, and
That's really important.
he likes my attitude towards the job as well. He asked me a question. I'm going to let you decide for yourself whether you think this is a no-brainer or not. He said, "It's a scenario. It's pissing with rain outside, and your
Yep.
client says, 'I want to go out.' What do you do?"
Um, I'm not. I would want to make sure that they've got what they need to go outside in the rain, but I wouldn't say don't go outside because it's raining.
And I said, "Well, you go out, don't you?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yes, that's exactly the right question. That's exactly the right answer." But I was sort of sat there a bit sort of like dumbfounded as to how anyone would answer contrary to that. And he said, "No, they do." And I think there's a problem in part of the care giving community where people get very, very process driven, very blinkered to putting the needs of the organisation ahead of the needs of the individuals they're looking after.
Mm, yeah.
And then if an organisation is putting its own needs before an individual when providing care, then that is fundamentally flawed, in my opinion. And
Hmm.
one of the things I really like about the organisation that I'll be working for is they truly are like it's a really, it feels like a really lame thing to say, but people centered. But they really are about like what do the clients need, and
Good.
what can we do to make their lives better. And the person I think that I will be providing care to sounds like a really, they're an individual that I would feel proud to be helping, and sort of really feel like I hope that I'm making a positive contribution to society. So like years of working for an organisation because I didn't want to work for a private firm and be part of the capital system, man. But I actually feel like I'm going off to do a job that actually does some tangible good, and
Yeah.
I think my self esteem needs that. So for selfish reasons, I want to do it because I think my self esteem could probably do with it. But I guess hello, my daughter gave me a nice little wave. I think she was waving at you too, Steve. I'm sure. So yeah, the chance to put my money where my mouth is essentially
Yeah.
is a really exciting one. I'm sort of looking forward to it a great deal.
Good.
Yeah,
I think you've been circling around this for a while, though, haven't you?
yeah, long time.
The idea of being in a, not necessarily a caring environment, but a more
Mm,
person focused, one to one
hmm.
sort of
Thank
a
you, Nick.
situation,
Yeah,
instead of being sat somewhere in a hierarchy where things feel very disconnected from each other.
yeah. I knew when I left I couldn't work in an office again. I knew
Yeah.
that. I knew that is what was blowing me up. Basically, I would sit at my desk, and it just felt like the walls were closing in on me. And I had a job
Hmm.
where I could leave my desk anytime I wanted, go outside, have a breath of fresh air, have a cigarette if I needed it. No one got on my back for it. I was given so much space. I was treated so well by the people I worked for before. It was so understanding of my mental health issues and was
Yeah.
so accommodating. But the one thing they couldn't change was the fundamental of the work was killing me. It was just so tedious, and I
Yeah.
couldn't. I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope, and I didn't know how to not cope. I think the problem was in the preceding years is I'd worked, because I worked for the NHS, and I'd worked there long enough to be lucky and receive some nice promotions over the years, and sort of by the time I left, I was on a very comfortable salary, and the fear was going into care work then was like a massive dip in salary. But now we've lived for a year and a half with me with no salary whatsoever. It doesn't feel like such a it doesn't feel like such a problem. It's like, oh no, I'm going to be earning, the second I earn a pound, I'm earning more money than I earned before. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't
and I
feel
can
like
speak
such a
from a
kicking.
similar experience to that
Mm,
as well. So I know exactly what that feels like. It does, it does change one's perspective
hmm.
on that, to go through a period of time where there isn't that expected climb,
Yeah. Hmm.
that you're sold. I think it's not as uncommon as we'd imagine, that at some point in our lives we jump off one career ladder and start at the bottom of another.
Yeah.
um and it probably comes at a moment where we think a bit more carefully about how our working life integrates into us as people,
Yeah.
instead of just something we do because it pays us.
Hmm.
Because no doubt, when you were in that office job
Mm,
and you were feeling the conflict within yourself about it,
yeah.
there's this nagging voice in the back of your head saying, well, this is how you earn money.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is how I support my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not the only way. And it
No.
doesn't have to be what you're doing at that
Mm,
point, but you've got no other idea what you could do. And it
yeah.
almost, for some of us, maybe we're well grounded enough that we can um, do something in our spare time, retrain,
Mm,
do an OU course, something like
yeah.
that, and make the seamless shift.
Yes.
That doesn't work for everybody,
No.
and it's unfortunate that for those of us who might need to step away
Hmm.
because the working environment is not helping,
Mm.
that there isn't necessarily much of, in those cases, there's not much of a safety net there to support you. Effectively, depending on the circumstances, they may be different, but you've made yourself unemployed,
Mm.
and no one's going to help you
Yeah.
in that situation. And that's where the lifelong learning thing is something
Mm-hmm.
that maybe should be a bigger consideration
Yeah.
in people's working lives than it is at the moment. But it's best not to look back at the career of the past and curse yourself from leaving it
Oh
because
no.
you could afford things,
Mm.
or a more comfortable
Mm-hmm.
life. You
Yeah.
are moving towards something that is going to be much closer to your personality, a much
Mm-hmm.
better fit, and will be more fulfilling. And
Yeah.
as a result, you're going to feel way better in yourself than you did before.
I hope so. That's the selfish part. Is I want to do good, but
Yeah,
I want that good to make me feel good about myself. So it
that's
means
important though.
I'm motivated to do a good job because I want to feel good about it.
Yeah.
So that it creates one of those. They call them virtuous circles, don't they? But it's more. You can tell I spent a lot of time in the office, can't you? I've got all the bullshit.
All the phrases.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's very, very exciting. I am super pumped to go and work for him, and it felt flattering because the guy kind of knew me and felt from that I was a good fit for the job. So
Yeah.
it's also very flattering to be wanted. It's very nice.
A question for you then.
Mm.
Outside of the conversation itself,
Mm.
all things considered, in that environment,
Mm-hmm.
out there in the public,
Mm.
having a chat with someone, how did you feel about that?
Oh,
Knowing the way that you've been feeling about going outside and all of that, were you like, did you relax into it, or were
yeah, big
you
time.
on high alert the entire time?
No, really relaxed into it. Walked home.
Excellent, good,
Felt loose as a goose walking home. To be honest with you,
amazing.
it was really nice. Felt very relaxed walking home.
That's great, man.
Yeah, so yeah, that was quite pleasant. All the anxiety was prior to going out. It sort of just melted away
Good,
once I was outside, which is always often does. It's
yeah.
often the way of things, but it's
It's
easy.
it's
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 easy
the
to forget.
idea of it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It's the idea. That's the you let it get the better of you, and sometimes it's impossible. Excuse me, God, blimey, Charlie. God, dear me, I don't know what's wrong, Steve, because I'm enjoying talking to you, but I don't know, I'm yawning. I used to do that at work a lot, and
Just
it
like
was
massive yawns during the day.
no, during training sessions, and and I can tell the truth now. It was because I used to find them deadly boring.
Oh,
I
mate,
used
yeah.
to have to go out and give training sessions, and it was a two-parter. One from me. I worked in the procurement department that bought things. So I was telling things about how they buy things using this sort of online tool
Mm.
they had access to. And then the second part would be like an hour's talk from finance about how budgets worked and stuff like that. I swear to God, on numerous occasions, I had to dig nails into my hands to stop myself nodding off. Like I
Hmm.
must have looked like I was on smack or something. Sat at the back of the training room, my head going over and over again. I like the bloke
Yeah.
who was giving the presentation as well. Is the thing, but I'd heard it so many times. It was so boring. It was in the morning. Oh,
Oh.
it was deadly, absolutely deadly. I'm so lucky I never fell asleep. I remember having a coughing fit in front of everyone as well, and managed to
More innocent times then, though, wasn't
yeah.
it, for that?
Yeah, but I did manage to splutter out at least the room's full of nurses as I was coughing half to death because the room was half full of nurses. So, oh yeah, no, yeah. So today's been a very good day, very positive
That's
day.
really, really good, man.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm very pleased. It's been an all right-ish week, I think. Yes, something good happened this week.
It's nice to end a
Mm,
week with something positive like that, just to
it
like
is.
push you through
Yeah.
in good spirits for the weekend.
I had a
Tell
positive. Go on,
No,
yes.
go on. Go ahead.
No,
Go
you
ahead.
say. No,
No,
you.
it felt like you were about to start something there. But what I was going to say was, is let's take a moment for you to recount your week on Twitch.
My week on Twitch. Good, yes, thank you. At the beginning of the week, I was as close to a meltdown with Twitch as I think I've got. It took me ages to do it, but thanks in part to a fantastic Discord I'm part of, Parents of Twitch, who are just the most amazingly supportive bunch in the world. Helping with numbers. I got over the 50 followers you need as part of the Path to Affiliate program.
Yes,
So
man.
obviously you start on Twitch, you're not monetized, and you get put on the path to affiliate, which allows you to take bits, subscriptions, ad revenue share. I think ads should be an absolute minimum on this channel. I think you might see one when you come in, but I think other than that, I don't think there's any rolling during the stream. And if anyone does notice one rolling during, please let me know, because I need to turn that off, because I don't really want ads, to be honest with you, if I can help it. I can't see how to turn them off at the beginning, though. So I don't know whether that's something only partners can do, or whether that's kind of
maybe. I think that's pretty much set in stone by Twitch that there'll be a pre-roll.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess the pre-roll. I just, the only thing it worried only at the beginning so far, says Nicola. Thank you. I did worry about even the pre-roll though, putting people off. If you're a small streamer, those few seconds count in terms of people going, well, actually, maybe I don't want to have a look at this guy after all.
Yeah,
Maybe
I know what you mean there.
but it is what it is. But you have to have in a rolling month an average of 3 viewers, which seems like nothing. But it's and if anyone out there's a streaming themselves, they will know it's really hard when you start to get like anything approaching a decent average of viewers. So, and I was stuck at 2 points something for an entire 7 days after that, after the 50 mark rolled round. But late in the middle of the night, on Monday night, Tuesday night, I don't know, one or the other, it finally clicked over the 3, and I got my invitation to join the affiliate program, which I was very, it's that averaging, which felt really good. I was really pleased to be able to complete that and put it behind me, because I was becoming obsessed, getting lots of like constantly checking to see if it had ticked up another increment. Has it gone up another 0.1? And it's it was getting really unhealthy. So I'm very, very happy that I've punched through that now, and we're on the other side, which is lovely. So feel free, by all means, to sub and drop us bits.
Yeah, it's a brave new world out there, and it's quite an achievement to get where you've got. I think you've been streaming on the reg since what, March or April? I think maybe earlier. I can't remember.
No, April, I think it was.
April.
Nick, no. It's when we started the same weekend, near enough.
Yeah, Nick's just saying it makes you feel like any time you're spending in an empty stream is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of good mental health practice.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It's tough, isn't it, to be distracted by that? I mean, to turn this in on myself for a second, just to take a page out of your book, James, is doing on Thursdays the last 2 weeks the F1 2020 stream is a real kind of lesson in like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, where the rest of the time, just knock my boom on there, that'll make a lovely noise. The rest of the time I've been playing The Witness. I'm building up a little community off the back of that. Regular faces are coming back. That's been really, really encouraging. And then, of course, I break out of that mold, and now I'm doing like F1 2020. And now I'm in like the largest ocean. It's a brand new game. Yeah. Depending on the time of day, the amount of people viewing that game can vary from like 10,000 up to 200,000 people. And there I am, a small streamer, without a proper steering rig or anything like that, just like playing for fun.
Yeah.
then all of a sudden that's where looking at that live viewer number in Stream Manager is really distracting, because
Yes.
I'm used to seeing a slightly, when I'm saying slightly higher number, it's like maybe 2 or 3 more people, but it's just like, you start second guessing while you're on stream. Am I doing the right thing? Is this entertaining enough? Am I playing the right game? All of this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I think there has to be a certain amount of self-belief. You've chosen that game. You've chosen it because you want to play it. And if you can draw an audience around you playing that game and making it fun, that's really where the strength is. Not so much about the game itself. I mean, the way I've dealt with Twitch over the last couple of years is, there will be streamers I follow and there'll be games I'll follow. And depending who's live or what I'm in the mood for, it could be one, it could be the other. And, some of the games I follow are not like drawing huge numbers at all. But they can be fun to dip into. Sometimes you watch it just for the game. Sometimes the person engages you enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? You were talking about lurking earlier on today
stream,
in your F1
yeah.
stream.
Mm-hmm.
That might be an interesting point worth hitting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lurking is I watch regularly Chewy94, who's a flight sim streamer. I find flight sims very relaxing to have on in the background. It's just something about them. I just find it very, very soothing. Not a game I'd ever want to play. It's too much to learn. I do not have the time in my life to learn how to control, a 747 or whatever. But he has a large following. He routinely attracts 400 or 500 people to a live stream, and has enough subscribers to be doing it for a living, which is, I think, the dream for everyone, isn't it? But although, to be fair, I think I want this job that I'm going for more than I want to be a full-time streamer, to be honest with you.
Sure.
So I'm happy to carry on with the streaming while I do the job, subject to contract and the interview. But I mean, if I just shout the C word over and over again in the interview, I think that might do me wrong. So I need to be careful.
Okay, well, don't do that. That thing that you just said, don't do it.
Yeah, no, I definitely won't. But
have you tried not doing that?
Have I tried not doing that? I was having a walk in the woods only the other day, thinking I should try not to do that, and immediately I felt much better.
Good. I'm glad that worked.
And he was talking about some guy popped up in his chat and said, "Hi, sorry, I've been lurking for ages, but just wanted to know I'm a big fan. Here's a sub," or something like that,
Yeah.
And he was like, "Never apologise for lurking, because lurkers are the backbone of Twitch. Is like the vast majority of people who hit your channel are probably going to stay quiet because they're there to be entertained. It's like, no, you're the circus. I'm going to be the audience over here. It's like, and sometimes people want to join the circus, and that's fine. And I'm more than happy to welcome people under my big top, as you well know. But he was saying lurkers are the backbone. They're the vast majority of people on Twitch will be lurkers. And there's no shame in lurking out a channel, especially for a small streamer, because you're adding to their viewer figures. And that's
really makes a difference.
That's good for them. It's like, it's fun to do. I like sitting here chatting to you, and I like chatting to Nick. Not going to lie, my favourite streams are when there's someone else to talk to. I can sometimes wallow a bit when I'm on my own, I find. And because I get a bit, thank you for the host, Parents of Twitch. Talk about the most supportive Discord out there.
Great community.
They are genuinely a great community. I like them very much. Very lively Discord, Parents of Twitch. I recommend it if you are a Twitcher and a parent.
I failed to qualify.
Well, as far as you know, but you old sea dog. We know that there might be many mini Steeves running around on all corners of the globe. I've no doubt. So I agree with him. I think the backbone. It is the backbone of Twitch. Hey, kind of. I think Wekis. I think what we're going to be doing with these is I don't normally download my streams to YouTube, but I'll probably be taking these to YouTube for for doing something with at a later date. But Steve and I have been podcasting together for a little while. I've been I think Nick's told you that Nick's site, myself and Steve have been involved in creative endeavours together for almost as long as we've been friends. So
Yeah.
which is kind of how we all met anyway, through the creative stuff we were doing. So
I reckons.
yeah, it's all good. So yes, this will be downloaded to YouTube and is kind of more like a podcast rather than a stream. But as you'll see, my desktop is up there. I do intend to go and refer to it at some point, but we haven't so far.
We're still warming up.
Yeah, the show starts in a minute. So if you want to...
yeah, whenever you're ready, James.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a bit of like my normal sort of rather shambolic sort of effort to... I kind of put everything together and was kind of happy with it, but I've been sort of twitching about with it on the fly. You usually go to the bit. Now I don't go to the bar and drink beer with friends because I've been teetotal for 5 years. I've been teetotal, Steve.
Wow, that's incredible, man.
Yeah, so I don't drink beer, and I find going to the pub a little bit boring now. Unfortunately, I miss it. I was a very good drunk, very loud, very jolly. I am very happy to take the piss out of people, but unfortunately, I can only drink to get drunk. I can't drink to have fun. I can only drink to get drunk, and it doesn't stop until I throw up or pass out. So that, and the fact that alcohol wasn't very conducive with my mental health tablets, my antidepressants and so forth, I had to quit drinking 5 years ago. So I'm glad I did, because I think with the things that have happened in my life over the past 5 years, my drinking would have become very problematic. So I decided to when you don't drink, you start to notice how boring it actually is, and how unreliable and scary drunk people are.
Yeah.
Drunk people become very unenjoyable to spend time around very, very quickly when you're not drinking, because they start saying all sorts of shit. Their emotions go to pot, and they throw up on you. So if they're anything like me. So so I quit. I can't remember what I was saying, Steve. I know it was brilliant though.
I think it all came about because we've decided to have the big night in on a Friday night.
The big night in. Well, that's it. Yeah, of course we were talking about sharing it as a podcast or a VOD or a vlog or a whatever.
As something
on YouTube. We'll see. We'll refine it though. This will get better. It will look better than this at some point, I've no doubt. This is just me cobbling things together in my usual haphazard fashion. You know, I'm a complete finisher, so I'll get the job done. It might not be the best it could possibly be, but I'll get it done. So
learning by doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't help myself. That's how my brain's wired up. I wanted to ask you about The Witness, Steve.
Oh, sure, yes.
Because you mentioned it. I've got a list of things I wanted to mention.
Someone's done some prep.
Well, I thought it would probably be rude not to. I should no.
Look at that.
I haven't. Nice. I haven't actually covered that. The Witness.
Yes.
It's a beautiful game. It's a game that you've been playing on Tuesdays, and my daughter just blew me a kiss. Hello, darling.
Yay.
It's a game that you've been playing on Tuesdays and Sundays, sometimes Thursdays, not anymore. For some time. It's a puzzle game.
Yep.
You have a series of puzzles you have to answer. It's in first-person perspective. And it's based on an island, a mysterious island. And I've been watching you play it, and I really enjoy your streams. If you're not following Steve already, then that's his up there. There we go. Up there is his Twitch handle. If you want to go and give him a follow. If I was very clever, I'd hyperlink that somehow, but I don't know how to do that. I'll
tell you what you could do.
What?
Not not to be one to be producing and directing you on air, but as we're talking about this, why not pick out one of the broadcasts from my channel of playing the game? We can just have that as a little bit of colour.
That's not a bad idea. Okay, so let's go and do that. You vamp.
I will. I'll
first
vamp. I'll first vamp by taking a drink and then having an awkward silence. How about that?
Brilliant. Well, I can feel the awkward silence while you're having a drink, if that's all right. Okay, so shall we
cream soda once again. Beautiful.
Let's navigate to James's porn collection.
Excellent. Here we go.
No porn collection on this computer, I assure you.
There we go. Yeah, vamping. So you would you're obviously describing very, very well the experience of being in that game, being on the island. Obviously, there's still like a whole big question. Who knows whether it'll actually get answered in game about a whole big why all of this is there in the first place? In game about maybe we'll find out. Maybe we don't. I think probably the best way is just cause, right? Just because. But it's a game that came out in 2016, and I'd heard about it relatively soon after the release of the game. Going by the notes that I've made, and again, it's just been one of those things that I bought at a good price in a Steam sale, and it just been sitting there for some time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, question I wanted to ask about it,
which is great. Yeah, go ahead.
What's it about?
But the drip. What the story of the game?
There must be a story to the game, and I've realised I don't know what it is. So, what's the story to the game?
As far as I can tell, have two mids, the story of the game is being on that island and learning how to do these puzzles.
Really, that's it. There's no.
That's kind of it. The game begins in one of a lower pitch. Now that could be in an underground location. You make your way down a corridor to a door, and that's your first puzzle. It's a really simple puzzle. You get told what to do with your controller or with the keyboard and mouse to activate that puzzle, and then it just leaves you to figure out everything else. So, at the very, very beginning, it says, okay, you press this button or you do this action, and it'll solve this puzzle. A puzzle gets solved, and then a door opens. So it's already teaching you straight away, if you solve a puzzle, you'll probably have an action.
Yeah.
And then as I enter like the first area, kind of like the opening fort, there are relatively simple puzzles. It's not telling you anything. It's a question of it's given you the tools onto how to interact with a panel, like the one that you're seeing on screen here.
Yeah.
Have the right instinct here, and the rest is really for the player to figure out themselves. The one thing that I really admired and appreciate about the game, certainly at the beginning, was how it communicated to you purely by its environment.
Yes.
And through solving one puzzle and progressing to the next and the next, without words, without language, it was communicating with you about what a particular rule means, what works and what doesn't work. And then as the player, you bank that as a lesson, and then you employ that through the other puzzles that you encounter. There is nothing in that environment, really, that's telling you what the end game is or giving you a story about anything. But as you travel around, there are interesting things that you might encounter. I think one of the big giveaways is figuring out at various points on the island that you can raise a boat up from the waters beneath, and as you board the boat, there is a map, and it's that map that gives you an idea that there are many locations that you can visit and means to travel between them. That's probably kind of like the biggest biggest hint, biggest clue that there's more than one way to travel. But otherwise, everything else is making your own journey. The game kind of guides you through in that first section. If you solve all the puzzles in this area, then there will be a thing at the end that will mean that you can progress to a different area or whatever. Am I listening to them? One of the first one of the first areas that I encounter as I complete the series of puzzles. That's the first time a laser appears, and the laser appears and it shoots itself towards the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So again, without saying anything, it's kind of saying that's where you're going to want to focus your attention. Maybe not straight away, because you're still on the ground level and you know there's more around you, but it's a constant reminder that's where you want to go.
Yeah.
Eventually. And that's the thing, probably more than anything, that's the thing I admire. Is there a story? Not that I can tell.
So that's what, and that's what I couldn't work out, because you find they're little environmental, but do you know, God, Steve, this is almost my dream.
There's double me.
I've got double bish, mate. I tell you, it's lovely. I couldn't be happier. I've got 2 instances on my front. The only way it could be better is if you're around our house. But I'll take
at the same time.
Yeah, I'll take. Oh God, can you imagine? Jeez, Louise, Steve, it would be. Would it be triple bish? Would you be on camera in front of me and on camera there?
Now it's a case
one of the things I like. There's lots of little environmental things to pick up, aren't there?
Yeah,
it's lovely. But I love the esoteric voice recordings.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and part of the last couple of sessions of playing this on Twitch, I'm spending more time looking around the environment for what's the best way to explain it? I mean, there are environmental puzzles and there are collectibles that are not directly connected to, I guess, what the main narrative is, which is solve the puzzles on the panels to make a thing happen. These are things that one just bumps into on the way. And again, there is nothing in the game that tells you to do anything with or to them. It's down to the player to use the rules they've learnt so far and the controls they've learnt so far to basically just try.
Yeah.
But yes, they are quite esoteric. It's hard to pin. Let's listen to that sequence of drips, because a particular lesson or theme to them, but they do all seem to be rather theological.
Right.
If that makes sense. And they're
my favourite sort of mystery.
They're basically like quotes from writers from all over history. Yeah, there we go.
Why not?
Nicola says that she can hear 2 Steves as well. Am I?
I wanted to leave the volume on a little. I wanted to leave the volume on just a tiny bit. It's very much under us. Yeah, but I didn't think it would make much sense. Now, Steve, as luck would have it, I'm waving my pencil at you. I've got a mechanical pencil and I'm waving it at you. I shouldn't do that. Is that against TOS?
A mechanical pencil? As long as it's not connected to an Android, I think it's okay. There.
Good. No one. I've got an Apple phone. This, actually, as coincidence would have it, is notoriously, I understand, the hardest to crack in the game. Do you want to talk us through what this was?
Okay, so I had the benefit of having a few regulars in chat as I'm playing through The Witness.
A great community.
A very great community. I'm humbled to have people return.
They are lovely.
But they've all basically come to my channel via The Witness. They've played the game before. They're interested in watching other people play that game, and I have to admit, like having a friend watch Tommy Wiseau's masterpiece The Room for the first time. As someone who's already been through it, you have the pleasure of seeing someone else experience it for the first time. And I'm guessing it's exactly the same with the game, like The Witness. Being the player who has to fathom out all of the rules for the first time, come out of the end of it with kind of this weight of knowledge, and then being able to sit back and watch someone else uncover that stuff themselves has got to be a lot of fun. But through those players, those experienced players in the chat, without being too spoiler heavy, they've been very good on that front. They'll say, "Oh, this one is quite difficult," or "You haven't quite considered this." Several people have said that this is a notoriously difficult puzzle. The first time I encountered this particular puzzle that we're looking at here was several sessions ago as I was exploring the shipwreck, and at that point I had no idea what the rules of this puzzle were.
Sure.
So I had no idea on how to solve it.
First of all,
Then I went away, uncovered an area which was explicitly about the rules that are on this panel.
We can then reach
and then I could come back
that point there, which is
and solve it. And I remember there were one or two people in the chat who were surprised that I solved it purely by breaking down the rules.
Right.
Right? Because I think it was Cubic 303, who said that they had basically they understood what the rules were, but they were just drawing a whole bunch of lines until one of them worked. So it's that what I've called previously in the stream the spaghetti method. You just kind of throw it all at the wall, see what sticks. And it's good, isn't it? I like spaghetti method.
Yeah.
So
because that's
whereas I spent, and for anyone who's played this game before will probably know that there can be quite a lot of time spent focusing on one puzzle.
Yeah.
And there have been times on these streams, part of the reason why I've played it for as long as I have so far,
I need to plot this course,
is that I can spend half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, up to an hour sometimes just working through how the puzzle works and how I solve it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that knowing the rules is enough, because one still has to draw the line in the right way to fulfill all the criteria. And sometimes it's easy because I can visualize it, and other times I just can't see it. I keep talking about that, whether I can see it or I can't see it. And there's nothing that can be done about that. Either you see it and you come to that conclusion, or you're still working at it. So this one was really notorious. It's based around sound. It's based around sound, and the player has to discern
because I'm making contact with
what the sounds are, what order they come in, what colours they correspond to on that panel, in order to draw them in the right order. What's important on this one as well is you're seeing at the moment, I'm drawing a line from the bottom left-hand corner. There are two big circles, they're the starting points. And then there are two lines that stick out of the side of those mazes with rounded edges. They're the end points. I'm drawing one line from the bottom left-hand corner. What the player can't see, and what the viewer can't see right now, is at the top right-hand corner, there is a mirror image of that line being drawn. You can't see it, but you have to consider that it exists.
Okay.
So the solution to this puzzle involves two sets of lines. And as I'm drawing that bottom set of line, I'm having to visualize its reflection starting in the opposite corner. So that's another level of detail that has to be considered as you're drawing it. And that's why a few seconds ago, I was bumping that bright white line through the center point, and it wouldn't go any further. That's because I'm hitting the mirror image of that line. Exactly.
Go through the center in any direction.
Hella tough. I don't know. It must have taken me about 35, 40 minutes to get to the solution, but it was a momentous occasion. I was dead chuffed.
We can't be far away from it now. I got to admit though, I could not play this game. My brain does not work in a manner conducive to playing this game whatsoever. I can't. I've not got the capacity for it. So I'm so impressed when I watch you play this. It just seems so clever, but it's like, I know it's like your brain works, and I think I definitely think you're a more logical human being than I am.
To look at this.
And you are definitely better at sitting and breaking down something than I am. I have to keep, I just keep pressing the go button, whereas you take it apart, you find out how it works, and put it back together, and it works perfectly. I think.
Yeah.
So to watch you do this,
as soon as I come up
makes you seem like a mind wizard to me. I need you to know that.
Okay.
I need you to know that. It's,
well, look,
it's crazy.
Thank you, first of all.
Yeah.
But this then I think is the benefit. Let's
do it this way.
Of playing this on Twitch, right?
Yeah.
Is that on one level,
We
I
go
would say
with
to
the low
you,
drip first.
that's a shame that you feel like the game would frustrate you, or that you wouldn't get the joy out of it that I've been getting from it, because I think it's a really well designed, well made, beautiful looking game.
Yeah.
And to think that you might buy it, download it, try it out for half an hour, and then never play it again makes me feel sad.
It should be
Playing it live on Twitch means that I can now basically share it with you in a way that might have been difficult in any other way.
Yeah.
And you get to see the entire game being played out,
Yeah.
and I get to share the experience of playing it with you and with the with the other viewers too. And that's part of the reason why we get drawn to this platform in the first place.
I'm the best one though.
You're the best viewer. Yeah. Sorry to Nick Sight, who's still in the chat, but
he said
buck up
he
your
burped.
ideas, pal.
He said he burped, and I don't think he's burped yet from the burb.
Then I can come down there.
I'm sure he'll tell us
He's
when
not
it's...
herbed from the burb.
There it is. That was you solving it.
The puzzle.
Oh, I'm on a little delay here. Here we go.
All right, relive that moment, Steve.
Notorious. But I...
Oh wow!
Man, I felt so good. I was buzzing from that.
Oh, there's so many Steves. Help me!
That
Absolutely full of myself there.
Sorry, do you know I was trying to extend our conversation to last long enough for you to solve that on the game on
Well
here.
played, sir. Well done.
Yeah, so I'm very pleased with myself, and no one knew.
I'm gonna die
Oh
now on that
jeez,
story.
giving it away. Shall I minimise that? Shall I reduce your?
Yeah, if we're done talking about the witness, sir, then no, I'm very uncomfortable looking at myself on two separate locations.
Right. Well, that's what I wanted. I wanted to ask you. Do you know? Would you like me to read my note verbatim?
Go for it.
I've got to stop turning to look at you, Steve, because you're on a screen down here, and I keep turning to look at you, and I'm not looking at the webcam, so I'm gonna have to get better at that.
It's hard to do.
I'll read the note verbatim. Witness. What's the deal with that then? That's my
Well, I'm glad you spent a bit more time like building that question up in your mind before you asked it.
Okay, I've got excuse me, I'm going to give you a little choice now.
All right.
I've 1, 2, 3, 4 topics left.
Wow.
I'm going to read them out. I'm going to let you choose which one we do. One's a segment. The segment is called The Beautiful South, and it's where we take a look at our local newspaper's website.
What a thrill.
The next one is the note is struggle streams, and I had a nightmare struggle stream last night, and I think would it be unfair to say the F1 streams have felt a bit struggly for you? Like last night was hard because you were tired, and
I'd say it was fair. I've also had some technical difficulties as well, so they trying to work through those has been tough as well. But yes, absolutely, that's true.
Old man sailing.
Ooh.
And typos. So that's the Beautiful South. A look at the Echo website. Struggle streams.
Yep.
Old man sailing. Typos.
Man, they're very good. They're very good.
Yeah.
I would like to move to Old Man Sailing.
Old Man Sailing. Oh, I might bring YouTube up in a minute. We'll have a look at some Old Man Sailing if you like. I have invented a genre. No, it's not invented. I'll bloody show you in a minute. It's not invented. There's plenty of them. Is Old Man Sailing videos.
Yeah.
And what I mean by Old Man Sailing is they are almost exclusively the ones I've seen dudes. They are all exclusively over the age of 60, and they all sail yachts. As Nicholas says, James's favourite topic, Old Man Sailing. So the ingredients you need for the genre essentially then is an old man and a yacht. And
okay. Water?
Well, yeah, water, definitely, but not always.
Help.
Not always. Now the really good ones are travelogues. So they're not just straight videos of an old man sailing all the time. They're also of his destination. Let's have a look. Like you can see, very first Very first thing that loads. Empty Sea, Adventures of an Old Sea Dog. Let's see how much. This is really giving away what I'm into, isn't it? In terms of my YouTube, this will tell you a thing or two about me. I like bushcraft videos. I like the monkeys, and I like guys like this. Look, old man sailing video. That's a different one. Let's see if we get a old man sailing video. Idiot. Lots of Best of the Worst. Lots of Star Wars. Oh, that's a young woman on a
Lovely
yacht.
red letter media as well.
It's a young woman. It's a young woman on a yacht.
They're allowed on yachts too.
Yeah, something about a yacht, boats,
Yeah.
yachts, bushcraft, yachts, bushcraft, yachts. Good Lord. So,
Hot Ones. Yeah, I've just seen that.
Oh yeah, Hot Ones. That was a big favourite. I haven't watched one. This guy's my favourite. He's called Barry, and he does a thing called Adventures of an Old Sea Dog, as you can see on the screen at the moment. What I like about this is his playlist he's got here. Big up the Barry. The playlist he's got here starts in 2015. And in 2015,
wow.
he went to the Algarve and he found a yacht that he liked the look of. And he bought the yacht. Prior to that, his parents had died. And it seems like he wasn't, I don't know whether he knew he was going to be bequeathed so much money or it was a surprise, but his father left him a substantial amount of money, which allowed him to buy this yacht. So he went to the Algarve, bought the yacht, goes and moves into the yacht, eventually sells it back to Britain. And then there's a couple of videos that, have about a year between them where he's kind of slowly doing his yacht up. And eventually sets sail back down past the Bay of Biscay, down through northern Spain, and has then slowly been circumnavigating the globe ever since. So he's gone through the West Indies, through the Panama Canal, through across the Pacific, and I think at the moment he's on an island about to set sail for New Zealand. So quite literally, he sailed from Plymouth in the UK all the way to the other side of the world in this yacht, single-handed. But he has a lot of fun as well. I mean, he sort of, as you can see, that one that says beer in Tonga. I don't know if you can see it, but that's him jumping about after having a beer in Tonga, which I think is where he is at the moment. But there's something dreamy about them. It's something. There's I'll put this one on the background because this is him crossing the Pacific on his own. I'll turn it down a bit.
Wow.
So it's not too. But this is him literally all alone in the middle of the Pacific with just him and that boat. And it's kind of incredible. I've become. Is that you can't hear it? Can you? Let me know if it's too loud there in Chatland, please. But yeah, I'm so drawn to the guy. I'm going to start watching it if I'm not careful. But
it is quite loud in Chatland.
Is it quite loud?
Yeah.
Or have you just had a?
I did.
Okay, let's turn it down a bit more, maybe. There, I've barely got the sound on, so that should be quiet now.
Spot on.
I can't hear it, so hopefully chat can't hear it at all. If not, I'll turn it off. Actually, I can see how much. It's not too bad at all now. But I've become so bloody fond of this guy, and I've also learnt about things called now. He's pulling it down for a reef, which means you take size out of the mainsail, make it smaller, which makes the boat more stable. Look what I've learned.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, Nick, I'd rather you couldn't hear it than it was too loud, to be honest with you, if that's okay. Unless you're making a protest and you want to hear Barry, you've not heard enough of him over the dining room table. He mended this plotter himself. The screen went and he mended it himself. It's very impressive. And they are very handy.
Great.
He's a very handy man. He can get in and do maintenance on his boat. But there's something so meditative about watching this guy on this endless journey he's decided he's going to take himself on. And I just feel peace when I'm watching these, and I don't know why. I guess, it's sort of, psychologically, I guess, to a certain extent, I'm putting myself in his shoes when I'm watching it. I guess, it's vicarious living. It's sort of
Yeah, of course.
without a shadow of doubt. But it's such. He's uncovered such beauty. Like the things he discovers, not just out on the open sea, but like the islands he's been discovering. Islands in the Caribbean I'd never heard of. To be honest with it, he's stopping off and they're absolutely beautiful. You
Oh,
sounded like you wanted to say something.
No. I'm just mesmerised by what I'm looking at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it is mesmerising. It's get his boat's called White Shadow of Pool,
Okay.
but he calls it Shads, which I quite like. He's sort of
Got to have a nickname.
Yeah, got to have a nickname for it. So he's got a foresail up there and a Genoa. Yeah, I've never sailed a ship, and I know some of the sails.
It's good work.
Yeah, but you think so? He's on that boat at the moment. I can't remember how many days the passage took him, but not on a single day could he have a full night's sleep. He was like doing sleeps of, I think the maximum they allow themselves is 45 minutes. So I think it's a 44-day passage, sailing alone, and you can only allow yourself 45 minutes of sleep at any one time. It's an incredible act of endurance.
Isn't it just?
Yeah, although between you and me, he's never explicitly said it, but I think he cheats. I reckon he has a bit more sleep than he's meant to have, and he relies on the alarm system he's got for other boats. He's never said it, but I have my suspicions.
Okay.
That's one of many hats. You get used to seeing different hats all the time, because of course they blow off and he has to replace them. So that's got to be about the 24th hat I think I've seen on this series. It's very funny. I'm going to turn it off because it's mesmerising me, Steve.
It's fantastic. It's something that you've mentioned on and off to me, but I've not actually seen any of it yet.
Yeah.
But this ties into something that you've definitely been mesmerised by YouTube for some time, and I kind of dip in and out of it as well, because there's something about the manner of presentation that helps this. I don't know why I'm still holding the mechanical pencil. It's
I've
just
put
like
mine
a
down,
thing
but
I
I've
toy
picked
with.
it up now.
Yeah, I should put that away, and we'll leave it there.
Put it away, young man.
But there have been there've been other sorts of similar methods of presentation, where it's not so much about like being loud and shouty at the camera, but it's sharing someone's experience. So you're going through the old man sailing trip at the moment, which is is fascinating. But you've also had people who live in vans or hunker down out in the wild,
I like van life.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's something that unites them all, even if the specific focus is different, and that's like the slow TV aspect of it. It's one person inviting you into their way of life.
Absolutely, yeah. You feel like you get to know them, you invest in them. Like you're talking about Hunker Down, that's Steev Wallace, who is one of the more unusual survivalist camper sort of guys, in so much as he cowboys it and he doesn't care who knows. He cowboys it. He enjoys doing it. And of course, his catchphrase is "Hunker Down," which is, and you can buy, I think, very reasonably priced T-shirts on his internet site. But yeah, quite a lot of the bushcraft guys as well. Yeah, but the more you feel like they're showing you an aspect of their way of life, the more I like it. The reason I like Steev Wallace so much is I feel like I'm spending time with Steev. I feel like me and Steev are hanging out when I'm watching his videos, whereas some of the other guys, I don't feel so much like I'm hanging out with them. I know I'm being presented to. I'm being presented most of the time a cooking video, just done outdoors. A lot of the stuff I find is, but they get big views. You notice, like the stuff where he's making interesting bushcraft stuff, not so many views. The stuff where he's cooking on a stone, hundreds of thousands of views. So I totally get why he does it.
food.
I totally get why they do it. People love the food. Steve always
Yeah.
cooks, but I'm not sure. I mean, you've seen a few of Steve's videos. Not always that
Yes.
appetizing, is it? To be honest with you, he's got a very
Yeah, I remember one of them, and it was just like, it's just hot dogs,
Yeah.
hot dogs on a little gas stove.
Yeah.
And, yeah, great, fine. Not haute cuisine or anything.
Yeah.
But you know what? In the following week, I had hot dogs for dinner because
Yes.
I just thought, man, I've not had hot dogs for so damn long.
Yeah.
And even though that, it's not the fanciest food, there's just something wonderfully comforting about it. And just seeing him like in this, I think it was they made this kind of treehouse kind of thing out in the sticks. And to chill out in the evening, they had some beers, they had some hot dogs, and it's just putting yourself in their place.
He is
After that hard work, just chilling out with something simple like that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you treat yourself to that?
He is almost unique, I think, in the he's very working class with it, like unashamedly.
Sure.
Like he's unashamedly down to earth, and that I think is super appealing to him. It's although he has just bought himself a lovely big prop, he has him having a go at bushcrafting. We'll keep that nice. And there he is. There's Steve. He's not quite as beardy at the moment. He's cut much of that beard off. But this is him just putting together a bushcraft shelter, which is something you often see bushcrafters do. Very rarely do you see him doing it. Now, when he first started holding that, I thought he had a saw. Because what you quite often find is these guys go off and you'll have 5 or 10 minute montage, often without words, of them prepping wood, which is relaxing in its own way. I could watch grown men preparing wood all day long, Steve, I'm here to tell you. But no, he's got a bug zapper, electronic bug zapper in his hands.
Ah, right, very useful.
But he's got the goggles on. He's very organised, very professional, right? So normally they'd have a saw. Not Steve. He's taking his bloody chainsaw out, and he's going to chainsaw down what he needs. He's not going to.
No messing.
He's not messing about. He's not messing about with a handsaw. That's for normal blokes. He's like, no, I'll have it. And he has a co-conspirator that sometimes broadcasts with him called Crazy Neighbour. And they're about to embark on a 2-week river voyage on a homemade raft that is literally made out of barrels and timber. They're going to die.
Is that the same one that I saw them make a little while ago?
Same one you saw them make a little while ago. They're taking it out this year.
Incredible.
Taking it out for 2 years, going with the current, and just going to float downstream for 2 weeks. You'll see that he's using grab ties. Now, I would like to reassure you they're reusable grab ties he uses, but there's no tying knots for him. Absolutely fascinating. He's out now. He's having this shit in the woods. Oh no, he's.
Well, here we go.
He was taking down that very small tree. I beg your pardon. Have you got a chainsaw, Steve?
I have no need for one. But yes, do tell us about yours.
I've got a chainsaw, and it's my favourite thing I own. Right, a tree came crashing down from my. I'm going to turn Steve off if that's okay, Steve.
Yeah, go for it.
He's starting to distract me.
We have illustrated our point.
Yeah, I had a tree that came down in my garden. I wanted to pretend I was more upset about it than I was. I think for the most part, people think I was quite upset about it. I was delighted. I mean, I've just got a chainsaw. Of course I want a tree to fall down in my garden. I want to cut it up. So I've got a lovely pile of wood now for burning.
Brilliant.
It's good, yeah. It's drying off very nicely. Yeah, but a lot of this is vicarious living because I don't go out very much. I'm kind of doing the vicarious thing through them. So, I'm watching the bushcrafters because I know it's not. I can't even be bothered to do that sort of thing on my back garden. And I've got a decent sized back garden that's got a lot of wood in it, but I just don't bother. So, I'm not going to do it IRL. So I might as well watch these other people do it. Yeah, but that's old man sailing basically. Is sort of there are several examples not just Barry. There's this one guy, Nick laughed at me the other day because I went, yeah, he's an author, so he's really good at this. And, like, obviously, Nick being an author, found that very funny, but I think Nick is also very good. I think Nick is also very good. He'd be very good at commentating a yacht video if he got on a yacht. You know, you'd learn.
Yeah, I reckon.
You'd learn a lot about his state of mind and the state of the ship and stuff, and his discombobulation with sailing it. I've no doubt it would be really, really good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So that's Old Man Sailing,
That was
Steve.
great.
That's what it's all about. I love Old Man Sailing. I can't get enough of it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Until you do at some point when you found another new summer TV thing.
And when I do, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to mention it here, and we're going to have a little look of it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very pleased. Okay, so as far as my topics are concerned, Stephen, you'll have thoughts in your own head, I've no doubt. Beautiful South look at the.
You'd think that.
Yeah. Talk about the Echo, struggle streams, and typos.
Typos.
Why do I keep making typos in chat? Why do we all keep making typos in chat? A streamer I was watching the other day, and don't worry, this is an example of really good streaming, I think, not really poor streaming. I've noticed that one of the streamers I like will auto-correct typos for people. So he never, ever, unless it's a word that could be correct and he's not sure whether it is or whether it's a typo, and then they're asked. But otherwise, never calls out typos, just autocorrects them, carries on, doesn't call out the person who's made the typo, doesn't berate them. Because I've noticed it's something I do a lot. And it's the speed. It's not being as competent at typing as I should be, and the speed that chat moves. So the urgency with which you want to get your message out. So the bigger the streamer, the more the urgency, because stuff will just whizzes by, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So I find myself making them a lot, but I don't know where you fall on, because I know Ian Lee, for example, loves shitting on people who've made typos. There is almost nothing he likes better, which is a little bit unfair, because it's harder for him to make flubs speaking out loud than it is typing it, without a shadow of a doubt. There is no doubt that our friend definitely uses the power dynamic to his favour when he's broadcasting. But why wouldn't he? I say. But yeah, I don't know where you stand. Where do you stand? What do you like? Do you like a streamer that auto-corrects people, or do you think that typo makers are fair game?
It's a very controversial subject.
It is, Steve.
All
the tabloids talking about it.
We really do deal with the important issues here. I will much prefer someone who, in their own head, is acknowledging and auto-correcting that typo on the fly. I think if we're talking specifically about Twitch as a platform here, and the context of typos within it, most of us would have been on the other side.
Yeah.
As you said, it's about speed.
Yes.
Especially if it's quite an active chat.
Yeah.
The pressure is on to get your comment in there before everything's moved on.
Yeah.
And I'm as guilty of those typos myself, to be honest.
Mm.
And I can go on a slight meander on how those typos come up as well.
Sure.
But I would try and do the same. You know, if I was streaming and someone had a typo, or if there was something that wasn't grammatically quite spot on, then it's my job to work with it as opposed to against it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like calling people. I don't really like calling people out anyway. And I think, like on Twitch, typos is punching down a bit often.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
this isn't the place for it. This isn't the place for punching down.
No, I don't think it is at all. I think you're quite right. It's the dynamic is it's much easier to talk than type, and also
Yeah.
maybe maybe someone like I think I'm a reasonably intelligent chap, but sometimes my spelling can be atrocious. So sometimes it actually takes me longer in chat because I've got typos that I can pick up. But yeah, no, I don't like people who call out on typos. It's a cheap shot. It's a cheap shot and
the
it's
other.
hack.
Yeah. It is hack. It is hack. And unless you get the classic public pubic typo, in which
Well,
case
that's
that's always
funny.
fun.
Yeah,
That's
that's
always fun,
funny.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it is funny.
And I think
Um,
if someone's
yeah.
if someone's a blowhard as well, it's okay to go on blowhards. If you're not punching
True.
down, you're just punching.
Yeah.
Talking of
That's true.
talking of hack,
Yes.
there's the beautiful South. Look at the Gecko website. The more I think about it, the more hack that idea seems. And
Oh, but it's good though. It's
yeah,
juicy.
and struggle streams.
Yeah. Let's hack.
Let's hack it away. Let's get activate the beautiful South.
Yeah.
This could be Rotterdam or anywhere or
We're
Rome, anywhere but home. Our city's a shithole
so
too.
effectively
There we go.
here we're throwing to hack desk.
Yeah. Welcome to Hat Desk. Right. Our Sybil Armstrong tips Ings for Player of the Year award. Interesting. We'll get the sport in a minute. So we've got a burglar and a beautiful mugshot. I tell you what, I don't believe in the science of phrenology, but you can kind of see where they were going with it, can't you? Those eyes are very close together and very small. It's got far too much head for those eyes. There's another serial thief. We've had a spike in new coronavirus cases, Steve.
Oh. Wow.
Oh wow. Man to go on trial accused of making explosives after incident at Southampton home.
Oh, there's the juice.
There we
Here
are.
we go.
Let's go and have a look at that. I want to hear about this man making explosives.
Yeah, you and me both.
Oh, he was part of the Knorr fortune. It's where your stock cubes come from. I rather like his
They
name.
got the know-how.
He has got the know-how to make bombs. I just want to say a public thank you to Nicola for agreeing to do what I asked her over chat. Isn't that
Yeah,
nice?
I saw that. That was quite cheeky, wasn't it?
So Pascal Nor Gold due to go. That's quite a name, isn't it? Due to go on trial
Isn't
accused
it?
of making explosives in Southampton. 47-year-old man has been sent for trial, Steve, charged with making a weapon and explosives following a raid during which neighbouring properties had to be evacuated. That's Hillside Road. Do you know where that is?
No.
No, nor do I. Officers from Hampshire Police executed a warrant at the address in Bond Road, Southampton. Never give the area of Southampton in these reports if they can help it, do they? And I always
No,
thought
but we've all got Google Maps, haven't we?
we have, but isn't like what the journalistic basic tenets are who, what, where, and why, right?
Yes.
So tell me the where of it. Tell me the where, not get it close. I know Bond Road. It's a big city. Probably more than one Bond Road as well, because we're big fans of the Bond franchise in Southampton.
That's very true, yeah. It's actually in Nick's neck of the woods.
Is it? All right,
Yeah.
makes sense. Probably a friend of Nick's. Pascal Norgold of Bond Road is charged with manufacturing a weapon, device, or ammunition, and the making of possession of explosive under suspicious circumstances. It is hard to think of circumstances other than in the quarrying industry where you could be in possession of explosive for anything but suspicious purposes. All very suspicious. People blowing things up is very suspicious. During a hearing at Southampton Crown Court, Judge Peter Henry set a trial date. Judge told him, "You're going to be in a lot of trouble, mate." That's it. It's just jail. I almost said there's jailbait underneath. Clickbait is what I meant. Oh, God almighty.
Oh, we get plenty of that on our local news website, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, our local news site has a political bias, which is really useful in local journalism. Let's see what else. There was a major fuel. This is what I love. This is what I love about local journalism. Major fuel spillage closes Hampshire Road. Where does that look?
Oh, yes, there we are.
Where does that look like? What do you reckon? Where does that look like? Let's find out. Let's find out where. Oh, it's in Eastleigh. Aren't you always disappointed to find out the news is from Eastleigh?
Right. Here's the rule. If it says Hampshire, first of all, that you know it's not in Southampton, right?
Is that because Southampton?
Be careful when it uses the word city as well,
right?
Because it could be referring to Winchester.
Yeah,
there's
true.
interesting codes that they use.
Yeah, it was in Botley Road in Eastleigh. I mean, it's a busy road, but I don't care. Do you?
Yeah.
He's been a trainee reporter for a long time. It's a tough old business, local journalism, isn't it? Look how long
it's pretty horrific.
He's been. To be fair, he's probably the bloody editor by now, and they just haven't updated the website. Now, do we reckon John Cooney is friends with anyone in the Echo office? Has someone had a free pint? Do we think?
You can bet your bottom dollar, I think.
Bar and restaurant owners could back plans that could bring visitors to a great city. But we're arranging coaches to London.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's that then?
Yeah. Southampton, where would you rate it on the great city scale?
Right, okay. The great city scale in what terms? In the terms of the United Kingdom?
Have you been to Paris?
No.
You've been to London.
Yeah.
You've been in New York, haven't you?
No.
No. What major city have you been to?
If I think of other cities I have been to in my time, they might not be all recent history.
Okay.
So I've been to Amsterdam.
Nice city. See? There's a city.
Yep.
Good
So
comparison
I've
too in terms of size.
Been to Bangkok.
I bet you have.
I've been to Detroit.
Motor City.
There's a contrast. I've been to Orlando. I've been to Mumbai. Those are, in terms of like cities, those are the ones, I think.
Fair enough. So you've got a good wide variety of cities to compare Southampton to.
Yeah.
Is it a Detroit? Or is it what's one of the really good ones you said? Amsterdam.
Here's the thing. First of all, you have to think about Southampton in the respect that it's only technically a city.
Yes.
It was gifted that status in the 60s. We don't have a cathedral, for example, which would automatically give us that status.
Yeah, but
it's also quite small here.
That's a weird thing with British, with the way, because Winchester, just up the road where I was born and brought up, has a population of maybe a couple of 100,000. I doubt even that, to be honest with you. I'm not sure, but it's a city because it has a cathedral. It's a town. It's a bloody town. I've always called Southampton a town. I've never been someone who gets all under the collar and want to call it a city. It's like, no, bollocks, I live there. That's a town.
Yeah. Sorry,
go on. I interrupted you.
No, that's all right. So take that into consideration, obviously. What's unfortunate about Southampton today is that it has changed so much in like the last 60 years, well, even beyond that, to be honest. We're probably 80.
You've got to go back to the Second World War, to be fair, don't you?
Exactly. But I think there was a potential where it would have had a historical continuity to it that Amsterdam has.
Yep.
When you think about like the center of Amsterdam, it's like that's been the way it's been for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In terms of the layout of it, even if some of the buildings might have been, changed over time. So much about Southampton has continually molded that the things that would have made it such a significant location in the early 20th century do not exist anymore. I mean, we're talking about like the late 1800s, where a giant portion of land was reclaimed to extend the docklands. So the things that made Southampton a really interesting place to visit was before even that happened. So there's a historical aspect to it that has either been lost completely or completely or pushed, on the main into the sidelines. And obviously the Second World War did not help that at all. There were a lot of things that got razed to the ground there, and in the rush to rebuild afterwards, obviously we wouldn't have had the finest architecture. So I think we lost, we lost a lot there. Would I compare parts of it to Detroit? Maybe not, because so much of Detroit has built itself upon the car industry and lost out hugely because the car industry left. That it was such a major manufacturing city that once that started leaving, its whole lifeblood came out from underneath it. And I was only in Detroit basically for a cup of coffee in 2007 when I was there to see WrestleMania. But the one thing that I found fascinating about the place, and this is born fruit from watching the really awesome Vice TV series Abandoned. Is that you can have a place that on one block is really modern and has had a lot of money invested in it, and then you just move one block down the road and it's mostly vacant lots and half destroyed buildings, and they're right next to each other. And that was just driving through the center of Detroit to get to Ford Field, and seeing a couple of blocks where there was empty buildings or vacant lots or just like really weird things, and you think this is the middle of a city. There isn't anything quite that drastic in Southampton, but if you look hard enough, we've had periods of time where there's been empty buildings for many, many years, shops that lay vacant and never really get to find their feet. We've had various developments over the last 20 or 30 years, which was supposed to be, the great hope for the city that ended up floundering and falling on its butt. Canute's Pavilion and Ocean Village is a thing of the past. Town Quay never really turned into what it was supposed to. The Bargate Centre has been and gone. East Street Shopping Centre is a thing of the past. And at the moment we've got this development around West Quay, which may just well survive. But the Bargate area is currently redeveloping, and because of coronavirus, that whole building. Not just that, actually, because there was some archaeology work that needed to be done as well, which delayed development. But effectively, you've got a whole project there that's probably not going to complete.
And I think the developer's gone bust as well, is it not?
I don't know that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
But what I find most frustrating about our city is there are these wonderful historic points to exploit, but it's embarrassing. We're a dropping off point for tourists from all over the world. And you see, one of the things I quite like to do is go and have a cup of coffee in our Guildhall Square, which is one of the lovely parts of town. I
really like it there.
It doesn't connect very well with the rest of town. They need to do something about the traffic that flows through the centre of town. They need to work out how to do that better. Because with a major arterial, one of the Southampton's main arterial roads flows between the two key parts of the city centre, which, it's a pain in the arse to get across there, to be honest with you. And it looks ugly as well. But I quite like sitting there and watching tourists who've come off the boats wheeling their bags about, desperately trying to find something to do or to look at. And they come and look at our Guildhall and they think that's something that... There is a Titanic museum there now, which is good. But you look at the Guildhall and you think, I'm going to be able to go in there. No. No, not really. Unless you want to go to the library, there's an art gallery upstairs, but
Very good one.
yes, not the most inspiring art gallery I've ever been
No.
to, but there are some very good pieces of art in there, without a shadow of doubt. And it is free, which is
Yeah.
a very nice price point that I like a great deal. But yeah, Southampton it's too disconnected, isn't it? You know, but it's got beautiful parks running through the centre of it as well, which are absolutely lovely and only occasionally littered with people off their faces on spice. But they can be very
The
violent.
thing to say about the parks, that is true. But the thing to say about the parks is that is probably one of the benefits of the history that Southampton once had. Is that those are things that couldn't be destroyed by bombs and were spaces that were clearly marked out for public use a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, those things aren't getting built on, thankfully.
No.
But when you consider, like, you know, we've got the old town walls, that are still kind of, you know, around the place, and you've got the parks, and maybe you've kind of got the structure of the avenue and the inner avenue, which is largely the same. I mean, in terms of the way that city used to appear, that's probably as much as we have.
Yeah.
So much else, the road network is probably completely unrecognizable to the way it used to be. I mean, in some respects, thankfully, because, you know, Southampton was a town, and more to the point than that, was a town with a lot of other towns directly connected to it.
Yes.
You know, that it never really got to feel comfortable in its, in inverted commas, city skin.
Yeah, you're quite right. That was very good, Steve.
That was quite a bit.
It was. I'm quite impressed.
Good question, though. They've got us to think on it.
Well, it's your hometown as well, so
I've lived here all my life.
Although I grew up locally, I am a transplant, and as Nick said, doesn't everyone grow up locally? But I didn't grow up in Southampton. I grew up near it. I'm very fond of Southampton. Got a lot of love for my adopted city, and I'm a fan of the local football team as well, which helps. But
one thing to be said, though, I was going to say, one thing to be said is that it's a really good hub to go to other places.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Even if on its own it doesn't necessarily serve you everything.
Yeah.
A brief trip on the motorway or a train gets you to lots of really nice places to visit. You know, within an hour and a half you can be in London. That's great.
Yeah, London, Bristol, Brighton, all like really easy to hit
all the ones,
from here.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it feels like it's a city that's improving. I think Scarlett is growing up in a better city than maybe in terms of its general state than maybe the one you grew up in. Scarlett's my daughter, by the way.
That's an interesting point. I mean, there are certain times I feel nostalgic about the way the city centre used to be compared to the way it is now. I think, unfortunately, this isn't just a problem with our city. This is a problem nationwide. But just the way the high street is now feels quite different. You know, there isn't as much localization to it or much character to them anymore. A lot of the buildings can be quite generic now. You know, some of the most interesting features about the high street have gone. If you think about the old Daily Echo offices there that got knocked down to make way for West Quay, there used to be the tourist information point in the middle of the precinct. There used to be a lot more in terms of trees and flowers and stuff along the precinct than there is now. Because, you know, it gets redesigned for different purposes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I kind of feel nostalgic a little bit for the way it used to be, but maybe some of the planning that's happening now in the city in terms of thinking about that cultural quarter and in terms of trying to connect, you know, the northern area of the city centre to the waterfront. You know, there are longer term visions that I think will benefit, but they're lofty. They will change, and unfortunately, the economy and kind of the societal kind of situations are changing at the same time, and the two may not meet.
Yeah,
But the point that you made, I think, about this being not just a big port town in terms of docks, but also because a lot of cruise ships come through here. We've got the Carnival offices,
Yes.
head office,
Yeah.
right by the waterfront here. You know,
Mm.
we have a lot of cruise ships come past here. What a shame that we don't have a bigger showcase, not just of
Yeah.
what Southampton is, although that would help, but as an introduction to
Mhm.
England, to
Yes.
Great Britain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This should
Yeah.
really be. This should really be like almost like the Disneyland of what Britain could
I
be in
wish
that
we had a.
respect when you think about the global
Mm.
tourism.
I wish we had something
Anyway,
like a major museum. You know, a good
yeah,
sized major museum. You know, but yeah, you know, it's something that can attract people. You know, when you go abroad, you know, you go to the museums, don't you? You're going to see what it's anyway. Whatever. Steve,
yeah,
that I think was that, and
yeah.
indeed, I think at 2 hours, maybe we should say that was that. Should we not?
I think we've had a jolly good run there. Yeah, 2 hours is a good feel, isn't it?
I think so. Absolutely. So I hope you enjoyed that, Steve. Do you have any notes you want to give me on air, or are you going to wait until you?
No, no. I mean, it'll be difficult for me to like make judgments on the audio or anything like
Yeah,
that because while I'm on it, I can't hear it.
you'll have to have a listen back and
Um,
let me know what you thought.
yeah, we'll do. But I really enjoyed being here, and
Hey, Pooties.
this flowed pretty well. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll do
good.
this again.
Well, we'll be back again around 7:30, 8 o'clock next week, and we'll do the same thing. And I'm going to upload this to my YouTube channel while we decide what we're going to do to it. Maybe we set up a YouTube channel for it eventually. I don't know. We will see. But these I want to keep. Unlike I don't keep the normal streams because to me they're a live experience. But hopefully, what we're going to work up. Holy moly! Hey,
Hey, it's
Pooties,
bits time.
you've just made my day. Yeah, I said I'd go 50-50 with Steve. So Steve will get something from that as well. So thank you very much for that. You're an absolute superstar and you've made my day. Thank you.
Good work, Pooties.
Yeah, I'm sorry it's the end of the woohoo! No, you're number one. You're number one. I hate to say we're ending the stream now.
Yeah.
That seems a terrible shame. Thank you for that. That's really, really nice of you. Yeah, we'll be back next week with this. I'll be back on Twitch on Monday with an F1. Thank you. I will be back on Monday with an F1 stream at 1:30 in the afternoon, British summer time, and then 7:30 in the evening. When are you back next?
I will be back next this Sunday. Time yet to be determined, probably around about 5 p.m. British summer time, and be playing more of The Witness.
Wicked. I love that. I'll be watching. I'll be in the chat.
Good.
So come and say hello. Thank you again, Pooties, for the bits. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all of those who followed. I am not going to try and pronounce all of your names again because I still feel embarrassed. I failed so horribly last time even. So until, have a good night. You have a good weekend as well, Pooties. Thank you very much. Until we meet again.
Yeah, thanks for dropping in.
Thanks for dropping in, and bye bye.